Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into a truly essential remedy for understanding chronic disease, alumina. It comes from the oxide of aluminum, basically clay, and its very origin story gives us some huge clues about how it works. Honestly, for anyone in clinical practice or gearing up for competitive exams, you've absolutely got to know alumina inside and out.
So let's kick things off with its most famous nickname, the aconite of chronic diseases. What on earth does that mean? Well, you know how aconite is for those sudden, intense, acute illnesses that hit you like a truck? Alumina is the complete opposite. It's for things that creep up slowly, dragging on over a long period. Just think about clay. It's slow, it's dry, it's inert. Those are your core themes right there: slowness, dryness, and a real lack of vital energy.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the person, the alumina patient profile. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the key physical symptoms. After that, we'll cover what makes them tick, what makes them better or worse. We'll also look at its relationship with other remedies, and then we'll tie it all together with a quick summary and some practice questions to make sure this all sticks.
All right, first things first. Let's build our foundation, the constitution of the alumina patient. Because really, to get a handle on any remedy, you have to first understand the person who needs it. Now, this is straight from Alan's Keynotes, and there are two phrases here I want you to burn into your memory. First, chronic diseases. We've talked about that. But second, and this is huge, deficient in animal heat. These two ideas are totally linked. It's like the patient's internal pilot light is turned way, way down. This is why they're so prone to these sluggish, chronic problems. They have this deep internal chill that a warm blanket just can't seem to reach.
So what does this patient look like? Often they're thin, spare, with a kind of dried out look, and their skin is a dead giveaway. You'll see these dry, tettery eruptions. Think of things like scaly patches or ringworm. And here it is, the classic modality you absolutely have to remember for exams. The itching goes crazy when they get warm in bed. It's so unbearable they just have to scratch and scratch, often until they bleed. Mentally, alumina is fascinating because you get this strange duality. On one hand, they can be mild and cheerful, but this can flip into this anxious, hypochondriac state where they're constantly worried about their health. But, and listen up, this is the golden keynote, it's their distorted sense of time. For an alumina patient, time passes too slowly. An hour feels like half a day. This mental slowness is a perfect mirror of the physical sluggishness we see throughout the remedy. Okay, so we've got a good mental picture of the person. Now let's zoom in on the specific physical symptoms. These are the keynotes that are going to help you lock in alumina as the right choice. Here's a classic. This is a form of ataxia. Picture this. The patient can walk okay as long as their eyes are open, but the second they close them, maybe to wash their face in the sink, they start to totter, to stagger, and maybe even fall. They lose all coordination without that visual input. For their own study, you'll want to compare this with argentum nitricum and gelsemium. Now, moving on to the GI tract, and this is where things get a little weird. The appetite is strange. They crave things that aren't even food: starch, chalk, charcoal. It's a condition called pica. It's almost like their body is drawn to these inert, earthy substances. And from an exam perspective, write this one down in big letters. Potatoes disagree, always. It's an incredibly reliable keynote. And now we've arrived at the most famous symptom of alumina, the one it's best known for: constipation. But this isn't just any constipation. It's from profound rectal inactivity. There's just no desire, no power, no urge to go. The stool itself is hard and knotty. But here's the ultimate paradox, the top-tier must-know keynote. Even a soft stool requires a huge amount of straining to pass. It makes no sense. But that's alumina for you. So, with such a bizarre and specific symptom like that in mind, who are the patients we're most likely to see this in? Which groups of people often need alumina for this very issue? You got it. These are the classic patient groups. We see this profound inactivity in bottle-fed babies, in elderly folks whose systems are just naturally slowing down, and very often in pregnant women. In every single one of these cases, that inactive rectum is the core of the problem. And this theme of inactivity just keeps on going. Check out this strange connection. The patient has to strain as if they're having a bowel movement just to be able to urinate. How weird is that? But for your exams, the leukorrhea is unforgettable. The description is so vivid, it's acrid, it's profuse, and it literally runs all the way down to the heels. And don't forget the modality. It's worse during the daytime. Okay, we've got the symptoms down cold. Now it's time to refine the picture with the modalities. These are the factors that make the patient feel better or worse, and they are absolutely crucial for confirming your prescription. See how this all clicks into place? Remember that deficiency in animal heat from the very beginning? Well, it's no surprise that Alumina patients are worse from cold air and in the winter, and they feel better in warm weather. And there it is again, worse from eating potatoes. You can't miss that one. And here's a peculiar one to keep in your back pocket. They can also be worse during the new and full moon.
Next up, remedy relationships. Now, this isn't just academic trivia. Understanding these connections is vital for managing a case over the long term, especially when you're looking for a follow-up remedy. Plus, these questions pop up on theoretical exams all the time.
If you're going to remember one single relationship for Alumina, make it this one. Alumina is the chronic of Bryonia. So what does that mean? It means after a patient has an acute Bryonia state, which is also very dry, by the way, the underlying long-term sluggish constitutional picture of Alumina might emerge. Also, take note of its important clinical use as an antidote for lead poisoning, what they used to call painter's colic. All right, let's pull everything we've just talked about into a high-yield summary. Seriously, think of this next slide as your personal flashcard for that last-minute revision right before an exam. Okay, let's lock this in rapid-fire style. The core theme, dryness and sluggishness. Constipation, inactive rectum with that bizarre straining for a soft stool. The nervous system, tottering gait with the eyes closed. Cravings, weird, indigestible things like chalk. Leukorrhea, acrid and runs down to the heels. Modality, hates potatoes and winter. Relationship, it's the chronic of Bryonia. If you remember nothing else, remember those points. Okay, you've sat through the theory, now it's time to put that knowledge to the test. I've got 5 multiple choice questions for you based directly on what we've just covered. Let's see how you do. Question 1 is all about the mental picture. Is it A, B, C, or D? And now for question 2, testing that super famous keynote of constipation. Which one of these is it? Take a second and lock in your answers. Moving on to question 3, this one's on remedy relationships. Is it A, B, C, or D? Question 4 tests that peculiar appetite. Is it A, B, C, or D? And finally, question 5 covers that key food modality. Which one is it? Finalize your answers now. All right, pencils down. Let's see how you did. For number 1, the correct answer is B, time passes too slowly. For number 2, it's C, that unforgettable paradox, no desire, even soft stool requires great straining. Number 3, the answer is C, Alumina is the chronic of Bryonia. Number 4, it's C again, that craving for starch and chalk. And for number 5, the answer is D, potatoes disagree. See? Every single answer comes directly from the source material we discussed. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing the keynotes of one remedy is great, but the real art and science is in differentiation. So in your next case of constipation, how are you going to distinguish the profound inactivity of Alumina from the constant, ineffectual urging of Nux Vomica, or the large, dry, hard stools of Bryonia? Keep those distinctions sharp. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.